welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Amanda Wiggins. Get to serve as the president and CEO of the Marana Chamber of Commerce, and really excited to present this programming to you today, our Marana Insights programming. We have incredible community leaders that come to this program, share what's happening, what's going to be happening, and really fosters a lot of collaboration and partnerships, as well as awareness in our community, which are all good things that the Chamber is focused on doing here. So thank you for being here and taking some of your morning. Today's the first day we're going to be in a hybrid model that we're really excited to be in. So we have a few in-person attendees as well as the virtual option. And we have a few people connecting to audio. So we will get started as they start getting in the room. With that, again, thank you for being here. We are recording this, so I want you all to know that, as well as we can see your screens here in the room. So it's kind of like you're here all on our large TV in front of us. So we love to see your faces if you're able to turn your camera on. It's a really great thing, and our speaker likes to speak to faces. So please do that if you're able to. And so thank you again. I would like to introduce our incredible moderator for this program. We have Jenny Huffman, the owner of Imagine Realty Services, and an incredible supporter in our community and a leader in the real estate space. So with that, welcome, Jenny.
Yes, thank you, Amanda. So it's going to be a little weird for me to be in this kind of a situation because I can see everybody. So again, as Amanda said, I'm the broker owner of Imagine Realty Services, and we specialize in property management as well as sales. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker. He's going to talk to us about the economic impact and expansion of the Arizona National Guard Western Aviation Training Site. I know that's a mouthful. So I'd like to ask Colonel Jeremy Pfeifer, the commander, to come up and give us an update.
Thank you.
Here.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you guys for calling in and giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about the Arizona Army National Guard. I've been with the Arizona Guard since 2001. I've been out in Arizona my whole life, though. I was born and raised Phoenix, Arizona. Left a little bit for another extensive service with the Marine Corps, and then joined the Guard back then. I joined the Guard under the premise that it was a weekend, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer concept. And it ended up becoming a full-time career for me. A little background on what the Guard is. There's a lot of people that see the uniform and they just assume, oh, this is the active Army. But the Guard is a very unique entity that was actually established December 13th, 1636, when Massachusetts Bay Colony organized militia to defend their organization. What's interesting about the Guard is the Army National Guard is a community-based and reports to the governor. And that's an interesting thing because we are reporting to the governor. We have a different skill set and ability that we can provide to the community itself. A lot of those things you'll see on the news or media, you'll see natural disaster support in the event of emergencies. And most recently during the COVID, the National Guard was called upon to actually use their truck driving services to transport food when some of the grocery stores were running out, shelves were dry. We had trucks leaving from Arizona, driving as far as Bellingham, Washington, and all over the country, which is impressive for our citizen soldiers to be able to do that. We also had groups that were activated and mobilized outside what the military had trained them to do. We called them shelf stockers because that's what they did. They unloaded trucks and stocked shelves. And then what was hit really hard during the COVID-19 pandemic was the food banks. And so we mobilized soldiers. A lot of the food banks are driven by volunteers that generally are a high-risk population during COVID. So they not only did they lose a lot of their food, but they lost a lot of their volunteers to run the food banks. And then there was a huge demand on food banks. So citizen soldiers were called upon to do that. They answered to the governor while they operate under a Title 32. And in the event of a mobilization, then they are mobilized and then they report to the President of the United States. So they can backstop for domestic interest and whatnot. The Arizona Army National Guard itself in Arizona has a wide variety of skill sets and ability. For me particularly, we are a medium-sized aviation state for the Arizona Army National Guard. But those of you who've been in Arizona for any period of time know that we have Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. We have Luke Air Force Base. And then out in Marana, we have the Pinal Air Park, Silver Bell Army Heliport. And sometimes people say, oh, hey, I see you in uniform. You must be at Davis-Monthan, or you must be at Fort Echuca. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm at Silver Bell Army Heliport. And they're like, where's that? Well, Silver Bell Army Heliport is at Pinal Air Park on the north end. It's been out there since about 1984, and it happens to be the second largest Army National Guard schoolhouse. It is the largest Army National Guard aviation schoolhouse. They have trained everything from Cobras to Delta Model Apaches. Currently, they're doing Black Hawk training and light utility helicopters, in addition to professional military education for enlisted soldiers, both on the Guard, the National Guard, active component, and the reserve component as well. Are my slides up
Yes,
there?
I'm ready. We have one hand raised if you wanted to,
Oh.
Miguel.
Go ahead, Miguel.
May have been an accident.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I was looking at my screen. I wasn't raising my hand. I apologize. It was a mistake. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So I've got some slides. I'll just talk about kind of an overview of our capabilities. And this just trying to anchor some things, but this is not the main purpose. This is a canned slide that I generally give anybody that comes in the Army side. And some of this, you guys may go, oh, this really isn't important to us. But I want to talk about what makes Arizona such a unique place for aviation, and then what makes it exciting about Marana in the future. Obviously, the ranges. Barry Goldwater years ago was smart enough to look at what it took to establish a range where we could fire the type of weapons we needed to defend the United States, and of course train fighters. Barry Goldwater is one of the largest ranges in the U.S. And obviously, being a Silver Bell Army Heliport, that gives us access to that. Fort Echuca down south is it's a military intelligence headquarters, and they have a lot of restricted airspace down there to do UAV and unmanned aerial systems. And so that's a great training place as well. Obviously, one of the reasons I'm here is the relationships. As a citizen soldier, I am often shocked that people don't understand that Silver Bell Army Heliport is out there. But when I talk about not only just where I'm responsible as the commander of the training site, but there are MTO units, which are standard units that are training to do a mission. They have a helicopter battalion out there, a maintenance battalion, transportation, as well as we have a foreign military sales training attachment from the country of Singapore. So Singapore has a helicopter unit established here to train and partner with the U.S. to go to training exercises. And the economic impact of that unit alone is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $30 million for a 3-year period. That includes fuel, includes parts, but they also bring their families out here, and their families come to the schools, their families shop in the economy, they buy cars, which is interesting because the country of Singapore is about the size of New Jersey. And so when they get there, they get really excited to buy really nice cars because they don't really buy them when they're in Singapore. So I had an opportunity to command that unit for a period of time, and they are great people to work with. They are a like-minded country, and they're just a great training partnership. But the economic impact is really what's felt. And while I was there, my eyes were really opened as to what was going on and how, as citizen soldiers and National Guard service members, we needed to look at what we were doing, not only for what we provided, but some of the things that we may take away, having that relationship to have open conversations. So the good news is a lot of people don't know we're out there. I'm sorry, the bad news is a lot of people don't know we're out there, but that's also the good news. That means you guys aren't saying, well, there's helicopters flying over my house and waking me up in the middle of the night. There's all this noise and training going on. So the fact that we do that much training out there and a lot of people don't know about it is a good thing because we want to fly friendly, but we do have a mission to support the national defense of the U.S. and to be available for natural disasters. So with that in mind, when I took over as a commander, one of my lines of effort was to make sure that we opened up lines of communication with our community partners. And one of them was the Marana Chamber of Commerce, and I appreciate the invite. So the environment itself, obviously, you guys, we come to Arizona. Our Adjutant General, Michael McGuire, who just recently retired, used to say, don't hate me because I'm beautiful. You know, the training in Arizona is amazing because we've got weather. I think we have 375 days of good weather a year, right? And we always joke, we go back to train other places. We say you can't shovel sunshine, you know, you shovel snow once and you've had about enough of it. But that weather provides great training. It allows us to establish training schedules to bring students out for classes, and we're not impacted negatively most often by weather. But not only do we have good weather here in Marana, obviously helicopters fly a great distance, but Arizona provides a multitude of training, both high altitude up in Flagstaff, which the Army National Guard has Camp Navajo out there for a training site. We can go out to the east of Arizona and get some high altitude training there. We can get mountainous, we can get desert, and we can get dusty environments, which are key for our training. Landing helicopters in a dusty environment is very, very dangerous, and is where most pilots get hurt, is trying to land to these unimproved forward operating bases where there's dust. And so Arizona provides that level of training needed for them to be successful. And we have units come to Arizona to train both at Gila Bend, but also just over the border in California at the Yuma Proving Ground, which we have a relationship with them as well. Airspace. If you've gone to California, if you've gone to New Jersey, if you've gone anywhere else, airspace is congested. Airlines, commerce, things of that nature. But what's great about Arizona is we have a lot of uncontrolled airspace, meaning that it's free. It's called Class G. We used to, when I was a brand new pilot, we'd say Class G was go for it. You know, you can just fly out there, and you'll see them flying around here. You've seen guys, they're brave. I've seen guys flying with parachutes on their back with the propeller. Have you seen those guys out here?
Yeah.
They're braver than me, you know. But you know, from gliders, there's glider ports, there's parachute operations. But the airspace itself provides a level of training that you can be creative in your training environment. One of the access to one of the largest training areas in the U.S., which is going to talk about, as you said earlier, what's going on now, but what we're going to do in the future and what we hope to be a part of in the future. And then, of course, the land itself, obviously Silver Bell Heliport, some smart guys established that training environment and created the Western Army Aviation Training Site, which is a National Guard schoolhouse that supports the active component, which is their training and doctorate command, which I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you guys right now, but Fort Rucker, home of Army Aviation in Alabama, trains what they can. Trains is where, when you're a brand new helicopter pilot, that's where you're going to go to fly. That's where you start. They're the home of Army Aviation. But the National Guard provides 4 schoolhouses to provide training for aviation. One of them is the Watts, which, as I said earlier, is the second largest schoolhouse, but the largest aviation. The other one is the EATS, Eastern Army Aviation Training Site. They have the HATS, which is the high altitude training site in Colorado. Best flying everywhere, by the way. You fly up there over the ski slopes of Vail. It's beautiful. It's in Eagle, Colorado. And that really trains pilots to determine about high density altitude and operated in very, very restricted airspace. And then there's the FWATS, which is fixed wings. Coming back in to Arizona, if we can go to the next slide, please. And I'm sorry I talk fast, so if you guys say, hey, slow down, I can't understand you, please let me know. This is Silver Bell itself. And this is the secret to what's going on out there. Is really neat stuff. The heliport itself. We have a schoolhouse. We have a dining facility. We have lodging. When our students come, they stay out there, but they do on weekends get in their cars, drive in, because they get tired of eating at the schoolhouse. It's kind of like eating at a cafeteria, although they do a great job. We have hangars. I talked about the impact for maintenance and fuel and the parts and purchases and truck driving that we do. Parking pads, we've got 54 helicopters out there right now. We can park up to 73 utilizing hangar space. And then, of course, the total number of aircraft that we have out there is listed down the side. We have dorm rooms, about 161 acres at Silver Bell Army Heliport. And if you guys get the opportunity, remember, as you're driving north to Phoenix and you pass Picacho Peak, if you look out to the left, off to the distance, you may see helicopters flying out there because we have the Picacho stage field. Okay. And that's where we do a lot of our training. So we take off from Silver Bell and then go out there and do all of our emergency procedures, pulling power levers off, putting all the students through their training to be able to respond to emergencies in the aircraft itself. Next slide. That's right. So as I spoke earlier, you know, we talk about what it is in the Arizona Guard, what makes Arizona unique, and what makes Silver Bell Army Heliport unique. if we think about where the United States is going in the future. If you guys know, the National Guard's been called on for the last almost 20 years to go and provide support both in Afghanistan and Iraq. And as those wars dwindle down, you can see what's going on in Ukraine and Afghanistan. And you guys know that what we used to operate in, the environment we did, which was we called COIN, counterinsurgency operations and community building. By the way, I'll sidebar off that real quick. Citizen soldiers are phenomenal at community building because not only do they bring a military skill set, but they bring a civilian skill set. And if I may pause just real quick and tell a great story about that, we had a service member that was a electrical inspector in Tucson, and he was a cook. So we mobilized to Afghanistan, and we were in Bagram Air Force Base. He's an electrical inspector. And we always asked him, so why you're an electrical inspector? You're this great guy. Why do you want to be a cook? He said, I like cooking. I like serving troops. I like just serving food. I like getting up in the morning, doing my own thing. This is my breakaway from being an electrical inspector, and I just want to do it. Matter of fact, he had passed up a few promotions to stay as a cook. I went to Afghanistan in Bagram Air Force Base, and this young man, they had listed his civilian occupation. You know, we have police officers, we have firemen, we have electrical inspectors, we have doctors, we have cooks, bakers, candlestick makers. We've got everything. They had all sorts of electrical problems in Bagram Air Force Base. They found out he was an electrical inspector. As I'm walking out to the aircraft one day, I see this kid in a hard hat with a clipboard. And I go, hey, man, what are you doing? He's like, I'm inspecting the electrical here. And he goes, and it's in bad shape. And he was kind of downtrodden. But what was exciting to me is they recognized the skill set that he brought that the Army didn't train him for, but he brought to the table. And that's where I think the strength lies in a National Guard entity. There are so many skill sets that come beyond just what you see and what the military trained them for. So just very, very proud of the National Guard. And I didn't understand the National Guard when I was active duty Marine Corps. I did not understand what the National Guard was. I thought they were weekend warriors. I thought they were portrayed as these let's go shoot. That's not it at all. The level of professionalism that we have in the Guard is just, it's absolutely astounding and amazing. I had an Apache instructor pilot years ago, and we said it doesn't take a rocket scientist to be an Apache pilot, but we had one. And he worked for Raytheon, and we've got guys that work in the industry of Boeing. We have guys that are law enforcement. My pilots, when I deployed, a majority of my pilots had thousands and thousands of flight hours because they were civilian pilots as well. They were airlines, they were U.S. Customs, they were medevac, they were, and so it's just exciting to see these guys come and they have this wealth of experience. That's what really makes the National Guard very, very unique and exciting. But this is kind of an overview of why Arizona's kind of such an exciting opportunity as we go forward in the future, and I'll address that. Phone locked up on me here. 1 second. Remember the password here. So what's happening? As I said earlier, we're operating in a counterinsurgency concept, community building, dealing with local, trying to establish the infrastructure, which makes the Guard great because we have guys that can do that kind of stuff. But as we pull out of that, we're looking more of our threats in the U.S. and we see what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and it makes us all very, very nervous. And we've got to think strategic. And the good news and bad news is things are getting, the ranges of weapon systems and the distance in which we travel is getting bigger. So our training environments need to be big. The aircraft that the Army is purchasing, the aircraft that the Air Force is purchasing, and the aircraft that the Army hopes to go to in the future is going to need a lot of airspace. No longer are we going to be operating just in what you'd see if the purple airspace, a Gila Bend Army airfield or Air Force weapons range. Used to just operate around there, but now our aircraft are flying, and I heard one of the F-16 pilots from Luke Air Force Base at the Arizona Commander Summit say, well, my initial approach starts in New Mexico. I transitioned into Arizona, and then I'm pulling out through California. So when we talk about relationships and the area that we need to operate in, we can no longer go to these places that are so restricted with airspace that we have to look at. And that's where we're talking about going in the future. Arizona is very, very unique, as I said, airspace, weather, and training environments. Really makes Arizona unique for future growth. Fort Bliss is one of those as well. And then, of course, we're not making any more ranges in the U.S. It's just not going to happen. We're not going to grow any more ranges. But we do have to be able to operate in airspace that are going outside of those ranges and do what we need to do to train our soldiers at the level that they can defend the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So my job is to ensure that we're performing professionally and we're developing and we're putting ourselves in a position that we can see where the future is going. If that is an expansion, if that is growing it, Silver Bell Army Heliport, that's what we're looking at doing. In 2028, 2030, the Army is looking at what they call future vertical lift. If anyone's familiar with the Osprey helicopter or an airplane that has rotating rotors, the Army's looking at some of the same thing. It's one of their 5 big ones. That's what's unique. Arizona is trying to be a growth state, both on their training beyond aviation. I'm just talking about aviation, but we have, military police, we have a maneuver enhancement brigade. And so I'm going to go on to my third thing here real quick, and if I may be kind of a recruiter for those of you know, because this we're talking about. I didn't understand the National Guard. And if I hadn't got the opportunity for someone to tell me what the National Guard was, I would have never known what a great organization it is for citizen soldiers. And so if you have anybody that has ever been interested in the military or being a part of the Army National Guard, I can tell you there are so many benefits, from medical health access to for a drilling guardsman to buy very, very inexpensive medical and health insurance. There's the opportunity to earn money on drill weekends and get a military occupation training. So I can learn how to be an electrician. I can learn how to be an aircraft mechanic. By the way, my brother's I'm a pilot. My brother's an aircraft mechanic, and he tells me all the time that he's more important than I am because they can't fly unless he fixes the stuff. He works for UPS. But we have aircraft mechanics out there, and we have soldiers that are brand new. And that's what my brother did. My brother didn't go to university. He went through an aviation airframe and power plant training, which the Army, the National Guard, West Army Aviation Training Site provides. And it gets these kids their certification to be able to go work on aircraft, which, by the way, just south of Silver Bell is Ascent Aviation, which that's what they do. And it is a great living. And my brother has done very, very well as an aircraft mechanic. And he wasn't set for university. He wasn't set for college. He got his skill set as an aviation power plant. He's been working in aviation for almost 30 years. And he is phenomenal. He's better than I am. He's the best kid in my family. My mom, if this is recorded, he's listening. He's really the best son. My brother and I, we have three boys. My middle brother, Paul, there you are. He's really the best. He's the most successful. We're proud of him. But if you have a kid or a friend that's going, hey, I don't know how to figure stuff out, the National Guard is great. But it's tough if you don't understand what it is. You think, oh, man, we're going to deploy you. No, as a National Guard guy, you're staying in the state of Arizona. You're assigned to a unit that's close to your house. You're getting a military occupation specialty or a skill set or a training that allows you to go out and get a civilian job. And it is 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. Everyone jokes that it's more than that. It's only more than that if they call you up or they mobilize you. But that really is honestly one of the exciting things about being a National Guard service member is the opportunity to give back to your community. When you deploy, you go overseas and you're supporting people you don't know. But when you're mobilized in your state to fight fires, or as I said earlier, to deliver food or to stock shelves or to work at a food kitchen, you're supporting your community, your families in your neighborhood. And so that sense of purpose and sense of hope is really, really rewarding. So thank you for allowing me for the opportunity to be a little recruiter there. Beyond that, the education benefits. I was born and raised Phoenix, Arizona. My parents had taken a second out of their home to pay for my brother's education, and I was number 3. And I said, I'm really not ready for university. What am I going to do? And I joined the Marine Corps, and I paid for college using military. Well, I've gotten my master's degree, and I'm probably going to get a second master's degree. The military's paid for it all. They treated me very, very well. And for a guy that didn't really have a plan about his life, it has been very, very good for me to be part of the Arizona National Guard. And I'm proud to be a citizen soldier. And I'm proud to be part of Arizona. As I said, born and raised as an Arizona guy, I'm glad to be here. In the future, I want to continue to be a good community partner. And if anybody would ever like to come out and visit Silver Bell Army Heliport and get a tour of what's going on out there, please contact me. I think you can have my information up there. Come out and see what's going on out there. We're hoping to grow, but we're hoping to not negatively impact our community partners in the neighborhood. We try to go out north and west. We try to fly friendly. If you live in Red Rock, we don't fly over Red Rock. We try to go the other way because we don't want to make the noise there. but we're trying to do our best to be a good steward of our responsibilities and what we've been given. And if there are any issues, please reach out to us, let us know. But we're proud to be here, and we're proud to be part of the community, and we look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Very good.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome presentation.
Do we have any questions?
Oh, yeah, I guess I should take some questions. I apologize. That'll run me to get in trouble because then I'm gonna have to answer things.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So I'm fascinated with helicopters are not supposed to fly, and especially in
That is
desert
true.
conditions. So do you have certain equipment and or technology on the helicopters for those sandy desert conditions that you have to land in or fly in?
So that's a great question. As the Army advances with their technology, it gets safer and safer. I would say it gets easier and easier. And, you know, we all talk about when we were kids, we walked to school uphill both ways in the snow. So as an older pilot now, I always say, well, they don't know how to fly. They've got all this instrumentation that allows them to do this stuff, but it is getting safer. There are things in the aircraft, you know, stabilization systems, engineering, designing that allows an aircraft to fly. Some of the older model aircraft, there still is some what we call piloting that is required in skills and techniques to land in certain environments based on what you're trying to do. But the current model of say the Chinook, it's got a lot of systems in there that allows it to go into a dusty environment and really fly down. The future aircraft will have control systems that allow it to land and fly with, you know, aided systems. The ones we're flying out there right now, a lot of it's just piloting.
Yeah.
You have to get a technique to figure out how to get those dusty environments and make the decision. You know, if you lose the sight with the ground and you're getting spatially disoriented, you have to make the decision to go around. And that's really what we train to. And that's what makes Arizona a great training environment, because some of the places we go are pretty dusty. And so landing in those unimproved forward operating bases and those environments is pretty dangerous. And I guess the bad news is we hurt ourselves. We damage aircraft. When you damage an aircraft, that's a combat multiplier is what we like to call it, because the ability, and I didn't mention this, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was an infantryman. And so as a pilot now, supporting the infantry guys when I was in Afghanistan, and then I really want to be there for them because I know how important it is to transport food, transport mail, transport water, transport troops on our Blackhawks. And then, of course, Apaches provide support for troops on the ground. It's key. And when you bend an aircraft and it's not flyable, that is a combat asset that doesn't provide that support. And aviation support is critical in combat now to move troops and equipment and provide support. Without that, we're really out, because roads can't get there. We've got to open them up. They're open to both enemy contact and then environment. And so some of our forward operating bases in Afghanistan really required, the only way to get to them was through aircraft, both with food supplies and, of course, letters and getting soldiers back and forth for medical, for anything like that. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any others, Amanda?
Do you make this presentation in local high schools?
I don't. I'm not a recruiter. So it's, you know what they say, if you're really proud of a product, it's easy to sell it.
No.
Well, I'm really proud of the National Guard. And sometimes I feel guilty because I'm trying to recruit my family friends' kids, you know, and of course their moms give me the mom look like, what are you doing? We're soldiers, and there's an inherent risk. My grandmother was actually mad because I recruited my cousin to the National Guard, and she was mad at me for a while. Why did you get your cousin? I'm like, why was it okay for me to be in the military, but not my cousin? As I said, my brother was the best. My cousin apparently is even better. But he's a phenomenal warrant officer up in Phoenix right now. Josh, if you ever dial in, he's up there. So nonetheless, it's easy. We have a recruiting battalion that's supposed to go out and do this. COVID has made it very, very difficult to recruit. We're going through a lot of crazy stuff right now with the COVID inoculations and how people feel about that. A lot of soldiers are like, hey, I don't want to do that. And so we're going through that right now. It's really a tough environment to recruit right now.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to do is talk to you guys, because you guys know 5 people and your 5 people know 5 people. And you may see that kid who says, man, I'm not ready. You know, I'm not a book smart kid in high school. That doesn't mean I'm not smart. And that's my brother. He's like, you know, I didn't like school. but I wanted something. He's wicked smart. He's absolutely very, very intelligent. And the stuff he does as a mechanic is amazing. And when he found that career field and did that, he's blossomed, that he's now working for UPS, and I'm so proud of what he's done. But the same thing happens, and I see that in my soldiers around, that the National Guard is something very, very unique, because we're not going to California. We're not mobilizing. I don't get to kiss my mom goodbye when I go to basic training or boot camp and not come back for 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 years. I'm in Arizona. I'm an Arizona Guardsman. And this is where I'm going to do my duty. This is where I'm going to do my job. And it's 1 week in a month. I put the stuff on and then I leave it and I go back to my civilian job. But there's medical, there's dental, there's health, there's retirement after a period of time. There's additional money for training. There's education benefits. It's easy to sell the National Guard thing. And I appreciate you saying that. I always tell them they need to, after they're done having me be a pilot, they should send me to recruiting, because I am very proud of the organization and what it does. And I was, as a junior soldier, I didn't understand what the word economic impact meant. I didn't. I thought, okay, the Army says do this. They gave me the resources to do that, and I go do it to the best of my ability. But I didn't think about the soldiers that are out in the economy, living in houses, and their family members are out there in the schools that they're at and the grocery stores they spend money in. And it really came to light when I actually became because I'm kind of slow, I was lieutenant colonel and it finally hit me, right? It was a long time in. I was working at the Peace Vanguard as a commander and really talking about the relationship and going through what we call the program management review. We talked about whether they were happy as a customer, whether we were happy with what we were getting. And I thought about the economic impact and what they did and how important that was. And it was really the general officers I was dealing with. And then I just kind of stepped out from that as I became the state aviation officer for Arizona, and then I became the commander for the Watts. I realized the economic impact, what's felt both through Davis-Monthan and Luke Air Force Base, when I had the opportunity to attend the Arizona Commander Summits. And then, of course, the Western Army Aviation Training Site, which has been secretly operating out there since 1984, with the number of students that come here. And 1,000 students we put through that schoolhouse out there. And all of them come here, and all of them have weekends off, and all of them spend money. And of course, there's the training that we do and the fuel that we buy. So we provide a significant economic impact. We're proud to be there. We want to continue to grow, but we want to do it with the community in mind. So that, and it's unique, it's out there in the middle of nowhere, but things are growing, and we want to grow properly, and we want to make sure that we're establishing things so that people aren't going, I hate those guys out there. So
We do have another question.
okay.
Yes, Colonel Pfeifer, thank you. Hats off to you. I'm not wearing my hat, but hats off to you.
Thanks,
My
sir.
name is Jose Oliver with Awakening Minds. What we do is leadership training, seminars, emotional intelligence, teamwork, environment, and so on. I can tell right off the bat that your team has all these already, and I know raising the bar from the bar that is already high is always a challenge. The question that I have for you, can I connect with you and see ways to help your team enhance? And I know, once again, it's already very good, but if we can enhance leadership, communication, emotional intelligence, and so on, is that okay? I contact you, or what is the best way to serve?
Yeah,
these amazing
yeah, contact
communities?
me. That'd be great. Look at what it is, and we could maybe bring you out there and meet with you and figure out what we can provide, what you can provide. That'd be great.
Exactly. Thank you. And thank you once again for your service. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And by the way, that statement means so much. I've been in the military for 28 years now. And when people say, I feel very humbled when someone says, thank you for your service. And I used to just say, thank you. And my sergeant major pulled me aside. And actually the phrase I try to say most often is it's an honor to serve. But for those of you that feel like, I don't want to say that, it means a lot when someone says, thank you for your service. And it's a reminder to us in service that we have a responsibility to our community, responsibility to our citizens. And it really is a reminder to hold ourselves to that standard we swore an oath to. And so if you do it, please keep doing it. If you don't do it and you thought you may want to, please, it means a lot to service members when you do say that.
Exactly. And I shared the mindset and the heart set with you. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm probably over my time. I'm sorry.
No, we're good shape.
Any more questions?
No, I don't see any. Right.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, our next presenter is Curt Woody, Director of Economic Development and Tourism for the town of Marana, and he's going to give us an update on growth. Take it away.
Well, I'm going to echo the Colonel's sentiments about the economic impact of the heliport. There was a time, I'm going to say 8 to 10 years ago, that there was the potential that it was going to go away. And we did a community-wide outreach and a lot of touch points and talking about how important the heliport was to the community. They live in Marana, just as he said, the Colonel said, the folks live in Marana, they shop in Marana, they spend their money here. It is a significant economic impact. So a great segue into my piece, talking about the economic impacts and what's going on in economic development.
The permit report first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to put up the permit report that you guys see every month. I believe I missed last month. I don't recall. So let's go with January, February, and March. If you look at those numbers, calendar year to date, 446 single-family residential permits. I'm echoing what I've said in the past months, kind of a broken record, but we're exploding, especially in northern Marana. The Gladden Farms area is basically completely built out. We've got a couple other new master plan communities that are breaking ground right now. One of them is Mandarina on the east side of I-10 at Tangerine. You can see all the machinery over there and the dirt flying. That's about 2,500 homes. So the town's doing very well. We had our budget report last night by the manager's office to the council. We're in really good shape financially. And this year, this calendar year and our next fiscal year, 23 fiscal year, looks really strong for us. So things are going well. 446, when I was reporting 10 years ago on these numbers, I think 400 was about all we did for the entire calendar year. So the first 3 months, really strong growth. I'm going to mention a couple of projects first, and then we'll go to the next one. So just some housekeeping things here. I've gone out on the street and posted for the new tourism and marketing manager about a week and a half ago. I posted it as open until filled. So if you know anybody in the marketing industry, tourism industry, that would be interested in working for the town of Marana of promoting the assets that we have here, have them go online, fill out the application, and we'll be probably starting interviews in the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you've been in the downtown, quote unquote, downtown area, Marana Main Street, you see the roundabout is under construction. That's going to be a great project. Great hardscape, landscape, and artwork. If you've been up on Tangerine and seen the deer, the geometric design, art design of the deer, it's going to be the same design for the roundabout. It'll be a rider on a horse chasing a cow. In the middle of the desert, there'll be a cactus there. And they're going to reach 12, 15 feet in the air. So it's going to be a pretty significant piece of artwork there. Luke dealership broke ground at Marana Center, right there at Twin Peaks and I-10 on the corner of Marana Center Boulevard and Twin Peaks. And also across the street from them, the Quick Trip is also under construction. And then on the other side of the premium outlets is HSL, building another luxury apartment complex around, I want to say about 240 units in there. So Marana Center is now gaining a lot of momentum, which is good. I was out there at the outlet mall about 3 weeks ago shopping, and there were some closed stores. So though the momentum of those projects getting underway and their destination projects, Luke dealership right adjacent to Luke will be the American Furniture Warehouse, 240,000 square feet. They're located up in Phoenix area and around the country. So that's another great addition. That's a destination driver. Luke dealership is a destination driver. I think we'll start seeing some more stores open up at the outlets. So Marana Center is starting to blow up as well, which is pushing everybody up to Tangerine and I-10. As I mentioned before in a previous presentation, there was about 300 acres on the west side of I-10. If we were talking about this a year ago, I would have said, I've got a lot of land for industrial, commercial development, perhaps retail, gone. One strike of the pen and all 300 acres is gone. It's all going to be industrial and commercial on the west side, which has caused a feeding frenzy for the east side. I'm getting a call a week from developers and landowners on the east side wondering what they can do, what type of product can they build. So it's absolutely crazy out there right now. That's it for the updates. I'm going to show you something. This is an ad that we just finished. Amanda's going to put it up here. This will go into 3 publications over the next about 4 or 5 months. So these numbers are the impact that we're going to have within our community over the next 5 years. 2.9 million square feet of retail, industrial, and commercial space will be built. This is additional. This is not what we have currently. 2.9 million square feet. Talent, 2,900 jobs and counting over the next 5 years because of those projects, and an economic impact of $2.9 billion over the next 5 years because of these projects. That just came out from our designer last week. As of yesterday, those numbers just went up again because of a conversation I had with a national industrial commercial developer. They're buying land on the east side of I-10, and those numbers will be updated. I don't have those in front of me, but it goes to about 3.5 million square feet, 3,900 jobs, and $4.1 billion in economic impact as of the conversation yesterday. So that's how fast things are moving. And with that, I'll take any questions.
I've got a question.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Carl?
Just, yeah, you know, I think what's unique about Marana, my daughter rides horses and the environment. I love that. I've seen the circle drive there. It's gonna be beautiful. It's really impressive there in Marana. As we're growing like that, are we still looking to plan to maintain that feeling of Marana, that, you know, rodeo, country western style? Can you talk a little about that?
And that is one of the challenges and the conversations that we're having right now. How do we stay connected to our heritage? How do we not lose all of the ranching that had happened in the past and the agriculture? We still have quite a bit of agriculture, but if you're driving up I-10 or down from Phoenix on I-10 and you see all the ag just off the highway, that's all owned by corporate America. So the ag is getting, I won't say pushed, but is farther to the west in Marana. And we're looking at ways, how can we preserve that? How can we preserve the history? The white Sonoran wheat is being used in our breweries around town. Barrio Bakery is using the white Sonoran wheat. It also gets shipped to Italy. It's such a high grade wheat that it gets shipped to Italy to make the pasta and then comes back to the United States. Our cotton is a really high grade cotton, goes into very fine apparel. So we've got some pretty unique and cool things about that heritage. We're working on it. We're trying to, you know, how do we not let that, because of the rapid growth, we're going from ag ranching appearance and the past 30 years of our, well, longer than that, 100 years of our history, to fast forward 2022, which is everything is new. The housing is new. The buildings are new. We've been incorporated since 1977. We're a brand new town. That's pretty young. And with that comes the excitement and challenge of creating a downtown from scratch. And that was one of the things I was going to mention here too. The developer that owns the piece of land between existing Main Street and the new Main Street where Bisbee Breakfast Club is located, he's been in with his team. They're going to break ground and finish that Main Street. He's a visionary developer, and his first project, though he doesn't know what it's going to be, is going to be a destination driver, iconic, really cool, and get that downtown started. And there's probably the area where we can pull in some of that history, right? He was talking about what should that first project be? And he was throwing out, well, Whiskey Del Bach is needing to expand, and maybe we bring them up here and we have a distillery on Main Street. I said, okay, that's cool. How about this? How about a gin distillery? And we call it the Cotton Gin, because the Cotton Gin was just about 300 yards from where he's going to start his first project. And we still have metal panels from that building. So we could put that in the facility and kind of bring that heritage back of the Cotton Gin and a gin distillery. And he goes, ooh, I like that. Let's take a look at that. So that's his thinking. That's how he's putting this together. I just talked to him yesterday, and his team is now moving forward with spending resources to hire land planners, really visionary, cool land planners, and map out that 40 acres that he owns and the 19 acres that the town owns across the street. So I think there's probably a chance there to preserve that heritage, and we don't want to lose it. It's very important. Sorry, that was kind of a long rambling answer to your question, but
And I
We've
hope
got
you
a couple
didn't
of
cite that
questions. We got a couple of hands here. Yolima, can we have yours?
I have a
We see
question.
them.
all right, go ahead.
So I live in Gladden Farms. I wanted to see if there was any future supermarket going in.
Question of the
So I
hour.
have this little card in my pocket about grocery stores. No, I get that question from the residents up here, including my daughter that lives in Gladden Farms. When is grocery coming to North Marana? So the answer is not if, but when. I know it's frustrating. We have, all of the folks that live in the Gladden Farms area knows that Fry's owns that parcel at the corner of Lon Adams and Tangerine Farms Loop Road. They were going to build that pre-Great Recession. Recession hits, things slow down quite a bit in every industry. And then Amazon buys Whole Foods. That turned the entire grocery industry sideways. So stocks dropped over 25%. Corporate, Fry's corporate is Kroger out of Cincinnati, and everything went on hold. What are we going to do to compete with Amazon and Whole Foods? Because they're going to go to the delivery. So they stopped all of their, I won't say all of their, but a significant amount of their bricks and mortar development across the country. And it became very competitive, not just to build a Fry's in Southern Arizona, but when they look at that Fry's site in Southern Arizona, it's competing against the entire nation. Where do we want to go next? They're throwing darts on the dartboard going, well, let's go to Tennessee and build there. Let's go here and build there. So we were competing against the entire country at that time. They now are trying to sell that property. It no longer fits their business model. So it's very frustrating. I know we've been talking to a lot of different grocery suppliers across the country. We have commercial real estate people trying to attract that. There are negotiations going on right now for Tangerine and I-10, potential grocery and consumer product supplier. The people that I talk to won't give me definitive answers on it, if it's a done deal or not, but fingers crossed, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And hopefully we'll have that announcement within the next 6 to 9 months that grocery is coming to North Marana. But yes, I get that all the time, and it's tough. In fact, I've told many people that I've been with the town 10 years. As soon as we announce a grocery store in North Marana, I can retire. That has been the bane of my existence, man, trying to get grocery up here. And I'm sorry you've had to wait so long, but yeah, I get it every weekend for my daughter.
Hey, Jeff, how about you?
Hey, you bet. Curt, hi. Jeff Ebbett, Tucson Association of Realtors. Not so much a question, but good to see you, and hopefully we'll again soon. But more of a kind of a kudos and a cheer for all the efforts you and the team are doing. It just, each and every time I hear your report, it's like we're doing more. So well done. Kudos to you. Excited for the new downtown. Love the idea of the ways you're thinking. One of the things in our world that we see becoming more and more prevalent from a real estate standpoint is the concept of that 15-minute neighborhood type of small town or miniature town within 15 minutes of everybody. And so that development you're talking about sounds really exciting, but really no question, more of a kudos. If we can ever be a benefit, please let us know, but really just good to see you, and thank you for all the efforts you're placing there in the community.
Thanks, Jeff. And you said a key word there, your team. And that is precisely what's going on with the town of Marana, the entire executive team and frontline workers. Our new town manager, as of a year and a half ago, he came on board, and in our first leadership retreat, he said, does anybody know how we rank in the community? And so nobody did. And he said, well, I can tell you what the police rank, and I can tell you what the town ranks, and it's not good enough. Our numbers were 4.2 out of 5, something in that range. And he says, we're going to be a 5-star community. We're going to provide 5-star service. And so it starts at the top down, the mayor and council, and down into the executive staff and the rest of the employees at the town of Marana. I know this is kind of salesy, but We're really striving for that, and it is a team effort. It's not just me up here going, oh, look at all the businesses I brought to the town of Marana. It's development services, it's public works, it's transportation, it's water, wastewater. I mean, every one of those pieces have to come together. I cannot recruit one business if I don't have pipes in the ground, not one. So, yeah, it does. It takes a team effort.
That's exciting. We'll keep doing good, you and team, and enjoy the day.
Eric next. We're calling in.
Eric?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. Just a question just with the news that you've seen in particular the western states, the viability of water, the impact that you foresee in the future growth, and just kind of your thoughts and the town's take on that. I'm just curious as to what you're seeing in the next 5 to 10 years and where your comfort is and where your concerns are.
No, we're in great shape. In fact, there's actually a little bit of misinformation out there that we're running out of water. That's just not true. We purchased the wastewater treatment plant from Pima County a few years back because we wanted control over our growth and we wanted control over our own water resources. So they were discharging the effluent out into the Santa Cruz River and letting it flow north into Pinal County. We bought that package plant, upgraded it, and then we built a brand new $45 million wastewater treatment plant and recharge basins around that treatment plant. So we're recharging the water back into our aquifer so that we've got water credits and actual physical water for the future. Our water table in North Marana is actually going up. 2 reasons why that is. One, we're taking ag land off of the metrics and replacing it with residential homes. Residential homes use 1/3 of the water that ag does. So we're reducing the usage of water by doing that, by switching from ag over to homes. And the recharge that we're putting back into the ground is causing that water table to go up. So we're really in pretty good shape. Doesn't mean we're going to rest on our laurels and say, oh yeah, we're great, things are fine. But anytime you see a master plan development, they have to come in with at least a 100-year water assurance supply. So they have to do their studies. They've got to run their water models. And so when a new community or a new subdivision starts to open up, people go, oh my gosh, 2,500 homes, we're running out of water. Not true. They have to assure that or they do not get to build. So we're in pretty good shape, but we're always looking for the future and planning for that.